There we are. Alright. We're connected. Okay. So, I don't currently have any viewers. Nobody has popped in yet. I mean, normally people would wait until people get in the stream to start talking and stuff, but I don't know if people will join, at least not this early on. Some people will probably go back and watch it if they're going to watch it anyways. So I'll go ahead and start talking, and maybe in the future we'll have viewers to be watching and talking to, waiting for, whatever. So I said that I was going to be hopefully posting more, and I want to be posting, but it's kind of hard to just practice a bunch and then also record content separately. That's not just about the practice. The practice is pretty boring, I feel like. And I mean, I want to get it done as quickly as possible. Like, it's not really a time thing, but like I want to focus on the practice. So I figured I need to find a different way to be able to get out my thoughts and have something for you guys. And I posted that longer talking video before, and I enjoyed that. So I figured, why not try like a podcast live stream type thing. I mean, I could just record this and post it, but eventually I would like to, if I keep doing these, people to join and be able to ask me questions and interact with them live, because I've always liked the idea of doing that. So for now, I'll just be basically recording, streaming it live, and then posting it, and hopefully some people watch it afterwards. And will give me comments and thoughts about what they're planning on. I mean, answer to my questions and such, and respond to what I'm talking about. So I mainly want to talk about disc golf stuff, first of all. I mean, I would like to also talk about other things, like definitely like what's going on in my disc golf game and what I've been doing, but then also kind of add in some other stuff. I mean, some other likes and interests I'd like to talk about, and if people think they're cool, keep talking about them and going along with that. So let's start off. If I look over to the side, probably because I'm looking at my notes. If not, I'm just looking around because I don't know. So first we'll talk about this last weekend, I guess is kind of what we'll start off. I guess we can go before that kind of into my first recorded round by like a production company was finally posted of the Augusta Classic. So if you guys want to see me play disc golf on a tournament level, you guys can go back and watch the Augusta Classic at Ace Run Productions or Ace Run Pro. Search them up, watch the final round. I'm in that. It wasn't my greatest round ever. The first two rounds before that were definitely better. I can kind of just go through the rounds that you'll be seeing in any of the. I mean, I had, I think, 8 birdies during that round, something like that, 6 to 8. But I had 4 bogeys. So I had a double bogey, a bogey, a bogey, a bogey, 5, maybe 5, double bogey, 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 bogey. So 5, yeah, 5 bogeys, and I think 8 birdies, and so I ended with 3 down. So I was in 4th when I started. I should have been able to pop up to 3rd with like 3 more birdies, or get rid of 3 bogeys, and I should have been able to be in 3rd, but instead I dropped down to 6th place and finished that there. A couple of things, they were kind of saying stuff about how I was throwing a putter, and I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I really, in my bag, don't carry any mid-ranges. I used to carry like one or two, maybe, just in case, because my putters didn't fly the right way, but I just never liked how they felt. So now I just carry putters. And I've tried to minimize my molds as much as possible because I just feel more confident when I have that mold and kind of make it work for the shot that I need. And I can find something that will work. I literally have my judges for putting. I do like the classic hard judges. Then I throw fusion judges, but same mold. And then I have a zone for my approach disc along with my judges. Then I have and then I skip straight to fairway drivers. I have eagle, eagle. Just have multiple eagles. And then for my distance driver, I was going boss and nuke and stuff, but now I'm gonna go back to destroyer. Oh, I forgot. In fairways, I'm using the Thunderbird right now, but really it's like Firebird, basically something for that slot. Thunderbirds, at least to start, are to me just as overstable as like a Firebird, maybe like slightly less, but pretty much just as overstable. So it accomplishes the same thing until I guess you beat it in, is what people talk about their Thunderbirds being, like pushing hyzer, I guess. It's got to be once you beat them in, because straight from the start, mine was pretty much a meat hook. But yeah, this 5 molds, destroyer, distance driver, the only one, and then eagles and Thunderbird in the fairways. 5 molds is really what I narrow my bag down to. I don't quite have a disc in that mold that hits every slot, so I have a couple fill-ins that are like random, like a beast and a getaway or something. And I just have still a boss in my bag just in case I need a bomber disc. So just like a couple random fill-ins, but really I throw those 5 molds about every time, with rare exceptions. So the fact that I'm throwing a putter, it's like my only low-speed disc. Like I'm not gonna throw mid-range, and then once you jump up to a fairway driver, it's like the hole's got to be farther. So I did throw a putter on all of those. It's just because that's my most controllable slow disc that I have. And so like I already could throw putters pretty far. Like I was hitting like 300, pushing 330 sometimes, pretty consistently. And so I was already a pretty good putter thrower. Now with my new power, because that was before I really went on this month-and-a-half grind to gain distance. Now I can get a putter 350, 360 for sure, and then every now and then I've pushed them like 380 to 400 even sometimes. I would like to like 400 consistent would be insane, but I'm not quite there. Every now and then I can do it if I get a hold of one right, and sometimes I throw a Luna because those things go forever. And in a tournament round, this hole was I think like 380, and I was pin high, right? So that was, and I didn't throw it like quite as hard as I could, like pretty hard. So I would say that's pretty good for tournament power. So yes, but I was already throwing putters for pretty much everything then. Now I can just throw the same putters even farther, so I'll be throwing them on even more holes. So that's what I was messed with a little bit. Also, they did say I looked like I was sneaking up on my throw. Pretty funny. I did kind of walk up a little slow and weird then. I mean, I might still do it, but I feel like I've sped up my run up a little bit from what it used to be, because I really wasn't. I was trying to really be controlled and slow and focus on my whip at the end. But now I'm able to incorporate my legs a little more, so I speed it up. And that was messed with a little bit. They said my putt was really fast, which it was. Like watching it, it was like I literally just like bam. So like mainly my going down was fast. And I was popping it out fast, which is weird because like I can't putt nearly as far as some people, but it looks like my arm is popping way faster than those people. So I guess I'm just not getting as much spin on my putts. So I have to make up for that with arm speed. Literally people that just like feel like they just go little are going way farther than my putt that I'm literally powering as hard as I can. So it's kind of sad for me, but yes, I do pop it out pretty fast. But I was going down like really fast then, and I don't think I do that quite as much. Like I'm not like super slow, like Paul Best really like slow, so bam, which works for him. But me, like if I'm going down that slow, I feel like I'm gonna get off the line I want and just think about it too much and screw something up along the way. So I don't quite go that slow, but I feel like I've slowed down at least a little bit, so I'm a little bit more controlled and confident in my putt. Other than that, I got made not really made fun of is the word, but just called out, or they were just analyzing that I threw a lot of red discs, which I guess it's kind of true because I got a pack of 5 eagles from Innova, and I really like that run of eagles. This next run I got wasn't quite as good, but those are more domey. The other ones were flatter, but they gave me 5 eagles, and they were all basically the same shade of red. Like one was a little bit darker, and then one was a little bit more like pinkish red. So pretty much they gave me 5 identical discs. So yes, all my fairway drivers are red, and I threw my eagle on pretty much every hole that required fairway driver. And then the only distance driver I used was a red nuke a couple times, so that was the only mix-up. So they said I threw basically the same disc on each shot is what they were thinking, which I probably did throw the same eagle on every shot, but if I did switch, it was like from eagle to eagle, and they look the same, so it's the same disc, just slightly more stable. I literally have to label my eagles, eagle number 1, number 2, number 3, and go from there. And I have them all in this same order in my bag at all times, and I have grabbed before and not looked at the number like I'm supposed to, thinking it was in the right spot, and it wasn't. So that's unfortunate, but when it happens. But if I look at the number, I should know. So I think that's about it. I had a couple putting mishaps, especially the double bogey one was just, I mean, I definitely should have made the putt, but getting a miss and it rolling all the way OB is kind of sucky. And then I didn't quite focus enough. I was really nervous to commit to the second putt because I'm like, what if it rolls down again? I should have just committed, made the putt, and it would only been a single bogey. It wouldn't have derailed me quite as much. So then I did come back. I birdied the next 2 holes and put me back in 3rd place again, where I should have been. And then I went bogey, bogey, par. No, I went bogey, bogey, bogey. Yeah, no, yes. Bogey, bogey, par, bogey. At that next stretch, that really cemented my dropping down in the ranks. So I had some really good shots though. Like the holes I did well on, I did really well. Got some cool birdies, but then some other ones I was missing putts and just making bad shots in general. So pretty cool to watch, to see myself back then and know that I've gotten better. And I'm throwing a lot farther, so I would have made a couple different decisions on the course, and my putting hopefully would have been better, and if not more confident, and especially from range, I felt like I've gotten way more confidence. I was like 25 feet and out. I was so scared to putt then. Now it's like, for some reason, like the 27-foot range is really weird. I feel more confident at like 24 feet and like 33, 30, 33. That were like right in the middle of that is kind of a scary range for me. So, besides that, that's posted. Somebody actually had told me they'd seen it and that I was in it, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I didn't even know it was posted. But thank you to them for letting me know, or else I probably wouldn't have known for a little while. So the coverage posted. That is done. Then this weekend, Saturday, I finally went back to Alexander Park doubles on Saturday, which I used to go to like every Saturday. It was my only competitive thing I started with. Played my first random doubles thing, was the first sanctioned like competitive thing I've done that wasn't just with my cousins and friends. I played on a card with Ezra Robinson. He was like 16. And he was, me and my partner, like, I just played Alexander so much that I could throw the exact disc I knew which to throw on each hole, do it exactly the same every round, and either got the good result or didn't, and I happened to get a lot of good results then. So my putting was non-existent. So we were like within circle most rounds, or most holes, and Ezra was like, let's say we were about 30 feet in, Ezra was like 60 plus almost every shot, and me and my partner missed our putts like every time, and Ezra made his putt like every time from 60 feet, and I'm like, how the heck is he doing this and getting so much power? Which he still has more power than I do on his putt, and I've progressed 3-4 years down the line now. But so went back there, and I've gotten second place like 4 or 5 times. Still have never won it, which, whatever. I'll get there someday. Maybe I'll be good enough to win that. But you have to play, like 14 under is kind of the goal round, or at 44, to shoot. That's kind of what I'm always trying to base my round on. And I got odd dog, which is where you play by yourself. You get 1 extra throw per hole. So my goal is to use it on putting as much as possible to be able to have that fallback and not have to throw. Like throwing twice, like it's not very likely I'm going to get that much closer, but putting I should be able to make 1 of my 2 putts. But it turns out like the first putt I was always more confident on. My second putt, I just like wasn't used to having a second putt. I just felt like I was back to practicing, and the second putt doesn't matter, so I just kind of lob it up. And so it just wasn't nearly as confident as it was supposed to be when I already had a disc under the basket I could have played from. So that was kind of disappointing. But I ended up birdieing the first hole that I should have eagled. Then the second hole, I throw 2 drives OB to use up my extra shot. Both of them end up OB, the second one by like this much, off a stupid tree kick. And I throw a bad approach, missed the putt, missed that putt, end up with a double bogey at Alexander during doubles. So not good. End up birdieing the next hole, and I only ended up parring 2 more holes after that. Birdied every single other one. Ended with 13 under par, or 45. And I missed that eagle putt on the first hole, and then an eagle putt on hole number 3, which literally hit the left side chains and fell out. That one should have been in. Would have put me at 44. And I was in second place at the end. Again. Really sucked. And I was actually tied for second place. I wasn't even solo second place. So I had to go to a throw off where we threw the practice basket from the pavilion. And my first throw was just horrible. I released early and it hyzered out left. My second throw, I'm like, alright, I got the distance dialed now. Just aim it right. Hopefully it slides in. It was raining and stuff, so that made it kind of miserable. And I threw a pretty perfect judge shot, fading into the left side. We're literally like half a foot away from each other's. Once it was stepped off, I ended up winning by like half a foot. Got solo second place, and I mean we could have just split it, but we decided to play off for it. And almost missed my putt, which would have been stupid, but that was my putting that day. I was making like, I made a like 60 footer to save the birdie on one hole, and then I dinked like a 15 footer on one hole. So that was my putting that day. So I got second place again then at Alexander. I was kind of using that as a warm up because I had to do something later that day, so I couldn't be at I couldn't go practice the tournament. I was gonna play on Sunday, so I played the one round on Sunday at Boundary Waters in Douglasville, and so I'd practice there during the week, one round at the two courses we were playing. And so I get there, we're locked out of the gates, so warming up was a little weird, and tournament got pushed from 8 to 9 start, and I was a little off. I mainly tried to focus on putting, because I'm like, oh, my putting's on, my throwing should be fine. I didn't throw quite as much as I should have to warm up, and it ended up biting me in the butt. Because it just got dark. Because my putting was good pretty much the whole round. I can't really remember any obvious putts that I should have made. I don't really remember being like regretting any of my putts that much. It was more my drives that, well, okay, I missed a pretty easy putt that I should have made on hole 3 of the first round. There's probably a couple other ones that were little dinkers that I should have made, but I should have. It wasn't really my putting that was mainly the issue. It was my driving, because my first two holes, first two holes I throw perfectly down the middle, hit my lines, birdie both of those. Third hole, shank it to the right, get lucky, have my birdie putt that I should have made. Then pretty much the entire rest of that round, I shanked it right every single time. I thought, like, my next hole, I went up with a fairway on a hole that I could have just thrown a driver soft, and thought I overpowered the fairway, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just trying to throw my slower disc too hard. Let's just throw a faster speed and smooth it. No, I went with that, smoothing it with the higher speed the rest of the round, and still shanked everything to the right. I don't know why my aim point, which was supposed to be here, was over here, but it was. So the entire rest of that round, I started off really good, got like double bogeys on 2 holes that have no business being double bogeyed. And then finally got it together. No, I didn't really get it together that round. I ended up with +5, I think. +5 that round. It was horribly rated. Played awful. Pretty much my whole card, though. We all played awful. I mean, no offense to any other people that play with me. Had fun with you guys, but we all played bad. Real bad. Nobody played up to their potential, not even close. And I ended at +5, and the lead was at -1, I think. So I had 6 strokes to make up coming into the round, and I still was shanking to the right. No, I first hole, next round, I throw OB. Take a 4 on the first hole. bogey. So bogey the first hole. Kind of came back from there. Started birdieing. I made some really good putts. Kind of birdied, and then I had like a weird bogey par streak that shouldn't have happened. No, I think I just had a long par streak is what I really had. Just a lot of pars that should have been birdies if I'd have just putted better and thrown better. My throwing was still a little shanky, but I started getting it together by the end of the round and came in. I accidentally threw one hole. I needed to start birdieing from there. Accidentally threw a forehand, which usually my max is like 350, 360 maybe. Threw it 400 feet. I beamed it to the post with the Bushnell. I've never thrown a forehand that far in my life. I don't know how I got a hold of that destroyer, but the thing went dead straight, 400 feet, and then just dropped when it was supposed to fade off at about 350, 360. Be right beside the hole. I had still that putt was probably 60 feet, and I did like a flex, come back in, thought it was going to go right in the basket, hits the band, falls. Unfortunate, missed the putt, and next hole, I knew I could get a putter there, but the tee sign said like 350, 360, and I'm like, I really have to chuck this putter to get there. And so I tried to throw it really hard and shanked it into the right side tree. And then guy measured it to the basket from the tee pad. Ended up only being like 315, and so the sign was off, and that's why it was so much easier to throw it in practice, and I didn't need to throw the putter that hard. But I did. Shanked it, didn't get that birdie, so I got the last 3 holes. The first of those holes, one of the hardest holes on the course, and somehow threw the most perfect shot you could, backhand, and birdied that one from like a super easy 20-footer. And I was 2 off of the lead. No, I think I was 3 off of the lead. 2 off of the lead. 2 off of the lead before that, and so that made me 1 off of the lead, I think. Yeah, that made me 1 off of the lead. I'm like, okay, I have 2 holes, 1 stroke to make up. Tried to pressure the guy in first place, or 2 people tied for first place, and threw like the perfect tee shot I could on 17. Threw my upshot literally under the basket. They both have putts. Both of them made their putts, and so they stayed 1 stroke ahead of me. I was 1 stroke back. 18, I throw first. Throw a perfect tee shot. I ended up being like 10, 15 feet to the right of the basket. So like a perfect tee shot. They both throw all right tee shots, but they both have pretty long putts, like circle's edge or farther. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll intimidate them. Maybe they'll miss. One of them missed the putt, the one that had a farther putt. The other guy, he made the putt. Stayed 1 stroke ahead of me, won. Me and the other guy tied for second. Shout out to him. That was a sweet battle. We ended up deciding to not, instead of split, we wanted to play off for the money. And so we played off. We went 5 holes. We were both 3 down through like 4 and played like amazing when we did not play that good earlier. I ended up throwing like a perfect drive on hole 5. Great upshot. He almost made his long putt to still save the birdie. I made the birdie and ended the playoff there. And so I wasn't shanking. I didn't shank a single one of those drives. And finally, from those last 3 holes to those 5, I threw like perfect drives on all of them, and finally got my drive together. But of course, it was 4:30 when I needed that to happen at 8:30, not 9:30 in the morning. Whatever. So I got myself together too late, and only was able to grab second in the tournament after a 6-down final round comeback. Still was like I could have done much better that round, but it was definitely much better than my first round. And I was like, well, this is the best disc golf I can play today. Anyways, so that's what we ended up with. Sorry. A 6-down final round, second place in that tournament. My second round was rated more like a 979 or something, so a little bit better, but my first round rating was more than enough to average that out to below my rating. So, still haven't put together a good tournament yet. Eventually, I think I will put together a solid tournament all around, or even like, I haven't felt like I've had a great round. I felt like I've had good rounds, but I've never had a great round in a tournament yet. So I'll be really excited once I finally have a great round, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I did everything right that round, with like maybe 1 or 2 mistakes, and like small mistakes, not like a big mistake, hopefully. I'm like, all right, I played a great round, and then when I finally play a great tournament, I've played like good tournaments, but I haven't played a great tournament. So if I put together a great round and a great tournament, I'll finally like know what I'm capable of and like what my playing my best is, and that'll feel a lot better to at least know that I can do it and where that line is to set my goals to. Right now, like I keep setting my goals really high because I should be able to reach this level, but I just haven't been able to put it all together in a tournament yet, which hurts and is hard, but I'm going to believe in myself that I know I can hit that eventually. I just need to put it all together. And just kind of waiting for that to happen. So, finished that tournament on Sunday. Decent. Decently. Not my greatest, but at least I got to go out and play, have some fun on a Sunday. Not a bad. I mean, it's never a bad time when you're playing disc golf. Better than working and doing something else. So, that was it for Sunday. Pretty much since then, it's been basically the worst disc golf weather possible. I mean, it's gotten warm the last couple days, but the beginning of the week was cold and rainy. The worst possible combo of disc golf conditions. Your discs are wet every time, you're cold, your hands are cold, your discs are cold, and you're wet. And the ground's wet. The ground being wet, oh my gosh, your shoes soaked, your discs soaked, your everything. It's horrible. So I've been getting my practice in when I can. Brought my basket down to the basement and am putting through a doorway there. It's always sketchy, but at least it should get my putts into a narrow hallway type area, so I'll be able to hit those lines when I go to putt in the future. I'll be like, oh, look at the doorway size gap. I can hit that. And should get my putts a little bit lower. I putt a little high sometimes, so it should get them a little bit lower and more driven forward, straighter, spinnier. I can't quite do like long putts because, especially since the door height, I really push it too much. So, like right around circle's edge is about the farthest I'm going to be doing inside with the rain and cold. It's better than not being able to putt at all, though, and I can get my stroke just feeling good and consistent. And if you're making all your putts inside the circle, it's never a bad thing. Circle 2 is kind of like, not a bonus, but like the best people do is make like a third of their circle 2 putts. So if you have a solid circle 1 foundation, that's really the key. And then hitting some of your circle 2s is also good, but you got to throw it that close in the first place to be able to have that chance. So that is also key, which is what I was not doing this last weekend. So speaking about that, I'll go ahead and say, if you guys want to say what your least favorite weather condition to deal with is, I would have to go, I'll kind of rank them. kind of like different weather conditions you can deal with. I would say least favorite is rainy, no matter what. Like even if it's hot and rainy, then it just makes it even more humid and terrible. But still, your discs are wet every time. Your shoes are wet. Your socks get wet. Everything's wet. Rain's got to be the worst to deal with playing disc golf. And we got to go rain number 1. Then probably like extreme cold. Like for me, I can deal with like, I don't know, I would like it to be like 60, but like 55 I can for sure deal with. And then like even like 50 and sunny I can deal with. Like 45 and sunny I can probably play. But once it starts getting below that, it's just, you can play, but it's not that fun. Your discs are so stiff, your hands hurt, they start getting cracked open. That happens to me anyways, but then especially it does. So probably like really cold. Then I'd have to go with extreme wind. It feels like that always happens to me in a tournament. Like 30-mile-an-hour wind gusts and 20 to 25 constant. Seems like that always ends up happening to me in tournaments, and that's pretty terrible to throw with because you don't know where your disc's going to go most of the time. You feel like your discs are never stable enough, and you can't putt. At least me not being a spin putter. It's really hard to putt outside of 10 feet. So, extreme wind. What do we got? I guess then we'll go like really, really hot. So at that point, it's like you're getting so sweaty, you're starting to get the disc sweat. That kind of hot is pretty terrible. But I mean, you can wipe yourself off with a towel and figure it out. At least your discs are not stiff and throwable, and doesn't hurt your hand to throw, and you're not just shivering. Then I guess just calm conditions, I think, are the best. Well, I guess I've only played it in one time. Doesn't really happen that much in Georgia, but put it right under raining. We do snow. Maybe even above raining as worst, but probably number 2 as snow, because when it falls down, the snow, it's not like seeping into everything immediately, like it'll melt and get into it, but you throw your disc, snow is stuck all up inside of it. You gotta knock that out, and then it's still cold, and now it's wet because that's melting on your hands. Then you gotta throw it again, dry it off, it gets back in the snow. Snow's pretty terrible too, so put that right in there as number 2, I think. Right in there with rain. It just depends. And then it makes the ground muddy too. Yeah, terrible. So I guess that's my list of weather conditions. I might be missing some, but we'll go with those. If you want to put your list of least favorite conditions in the comments, then that'd be cool. And I'll respond if I think you're crazy, or you'd play like cold over hot, or wind over rain. There's no contest on those two. You got to play hot over cold and wind over rain for sure. Because like if it's warm and windy, you can deal with throwing a couple discs, they fly over, whatever. You can at least still have fun dealing with that if you have stable enough discs. But no matter what, and it's rainy, it's like it takes more time. You got to dry your discs every time, and it's annoying. Whereas wind, it is annoying, but you can deal with it and still have fun more than with rain, I feel like. Unless it's like a really light drizzle or like misting. Like, okay, that's a little bit better than extreme winds, but we're talking about like serious rains. Along that, let's see. Disc golf topic wise. So I did put in a application to the foundation team things. I haven't got any response yet. I don't know if that means that they haven't looked at them all yet, or I'm just didn't get a response because they don't want to be sponsoring me. It could be either way on that end, but hopefully I'll get a response at some point and can maybe move forward in that process, because getting sponsored would be really cool. Like even low level sponsors like discs help, so I can have backups and really, like if I feel like a new disc will be good in my lineup, add that in, or just if I try something better at certain points. But really having backups is key, so you don't have to worry about a certain discs or worry about them getting beat in too much or losing them, and just have more discs to practice as well. Being able to have a bunch of the same discs and throw them again and again is very nice, and have a bunch of extra putters and stuff. Super nice as well when you don't have to go get the same putters again and again, keep putting them, and worry about that. And then your putters get beat in, you're like, oh, I have to keep using these when you like new ones. That, and then that would be useful. Tournament entry fees, obviously very useful. And then anything above that would be like a real great partnership of like Gas or Touring Man, or paying me actually money, Tour Series discs, signature discs, all that stuff would be sweet. But we'll work our way up, and I really want to have something to show before I go to like sponsors. Like right now I'm like, oh, I'm a 9 something 60ish rated player that has gotten second in a couple tournaments, and has what, 500 career earnings dollars, 8 tournaments to my name. Not really enough to kind of go to a sponsor yet. I'd really like to have like a win or two, a couple thousand career earnings, and probably at least like 1,000 rated before I really go to these companies. Once I start getting close to that, maybe I'll start going to them and be like, oh, I'm about to make it. But even though I don't care about ratings, it's just for the companies, for them to see it, and so I can get into tournaments and tour cards and stuff is why I want my rating up. Other than that, it's like if I won, I won. That's the position I got in that tournament. That's all I would care about. And I know how good I am. It's not about what this rating says, but people in disc golf care, so I have to care because of that. So that's where we're at with the whole rating thing. Wish I didn't have to worry about getting that up and being so worried about that I play differently in my rounds, but it's the state of things, and I got to deal with that and play good enough so it doesn't matter. Along those lines, like which company would I want to be sponsored by if I could? That is a big question. I would think about. Really, if somebody gives me an offer, I'm gonna take it. If nobody else gives me an offer, but let's say I get an offer from all the companies, it's like, would I want to pick a small company, be like the face of them at some point? Would be cool, but I'd like to have a full lineup, and as long as they have a full lineup, I would take any of them. If I go like a big sponsor, I mean, gosh, I don't know. Innova would be cool, and throw all the discs I started with, and the biggest lineup of discs. And destroyers are sweet. I guess I'd have to start throwing like the Toro or something instead of the Zone. I don't know what I would putt with. KC AVRs, maybe, something like that. But also, Discraft would be cool. It feels like they kind of have most active like player base on social media and such. If you take out like Big Germ. and kind of, I don't know, it just feels like they care about their players the most. I don't know if that's actually true behind the scenes and all that, but it feels like they really try to do what's best for the players. And I mean, I like most of the Discraft players. Obviously, being on the same team as Paul and stuff would be cool. Even though we're still competition, and he's the biggest competition there is out there, so probably Discraft would be ideal there. So I mean, I could go on about random disc golf things as well. Maybe I'll save some of that for next time. I also have let's see. I don't know, I do a couple more random like disc golf question type things. If you have a question, go ahead, leave it in the comments, and I'll answer it about disc golf or anything. Is what I meant to say. So I'm down for any type of Q&A type stuff or debate or whatever you want topic for me to talk about. Along my disc golf game, I'm still going over to Lenora Park and just throwing. I'm working on approaches kind of right now the most because those screwed me up a lot. I'm getting my touch shots in. Like a little like 200 feet in, kind of. I was trying to do a full arm throw, and instead of a like snappy wristy throw, that I've started more adding into my bag. So I've been working on those shots a lot. Just getting a little like pop to my wrist and kind of more of my forearm, elbowing up instead of my full shoulder. So I can do that to about 200 feet. Is where I'm getting those about to. And then 200 feet I have to start kind of using my full arm. And then 250 I do like a little smaller run up. 300 do even more of a run up. And like 350 and on, it's pretty much full run up for all my discs. So it's kind of nice to like be able to go up there with. I know a lot of people, especially in like smaller tournaments or smaller things, kind of get annoyed or just think it's like dumb when you pull out a rangefinder every single time you go to throw approach. And like obviously off the tees, like you can usually tell, especially if you played it before. But I feel like it's a big advantage to like a par 4 land, be able to just put a range on your rangefinder and be like, oh, 175. Okay, so I know I've been practicing at 150, 200. Go kind of right in between that. I know I only need not a full arm, but most of my arm, and my zone should go exactly here, fade over. I put most of that power, kind of know exactly how hard I need to throw it when distance pops up, and just be able to know where and how much I need to throw it. Feels pretty cool to have. And so I feel like it's worth it. People being thinking, oh, it's dumb that you pull out a rangefinder every time, when like obviously I know it's about 200 feet. Every now and then though, the distances can really screw up with your perception. And when you know like, oh, like it's about 200, but if you beam it, it's 215, and you're like, oh, okay, I can't quite stand still that the full way. I need like a little run up and just smooth it. Or if it's 175, and you're like, okay, if I full throw this, I'm going 25 past with the standstill. I can just take a little off and know I'll be there. It's pretty useful to be able to kind of have that in your brain and know your distances. And since they're legal in disc golf, why not use the advantage to be exact instead of obviously just ranging it based off of what it looks. You know that's 200 feet, around 200 feet, but why not be more precise if you can be? And especially I feel it helps closer from like that, I don't know, like 150 to 300 foot range. I feel like they're really useful. And I mean, really even above that, sometimes like 400 can look like 500 sometimes, or 500 looks like 400. And so you need to know which disc to use there, either between a fairway or distance driver. So rangefinder is good pretty much all the time. Sometimes I'm just too lazy to use it or want to be quicker and play quicker, so I don't use it, and it ends up screwing me up. Or I range found it and did it too quick, missed the basket a little bit, got like the tree beside it, and threw it too long or too short. But if you have a rangefinder, go ahead and use it. It's useful. You might as well. It's legal. Let's see. What else do we got on the radar? I guess everybody's doing kind of their Vlogmas things. I've seen a little bit of those. Yuli's have been kind of funny and weird all over the place. Thought about doing some of that, but I'm really just trying to focus on my practice so much. I don't know, like I'm kind of doing practice with YouTube on the side and trying to figure out how to incorporate that in instead of YouTube with practice on the side. Trying to do that to make my practice the priority and get as good as I can over this off season. So hopefully when I start going back to these tournaments beginning of the year, I can hopefully get some wins and at least be competing for the top pretty much every time, which I feel like I should be in all the local tournaments. If I join a big A tier, a bunch of pros, like maybe I'm not going to be jumping to the top immediately, but I should at least be pushing into that cash line much easier than I am. Gosh, what was I gonna say? So probably I think I'm done with tournaments for the year, just because my Christmas season is real busy. With my family, we already have like 4 Christmases, and then now with my wife added like 2, maybe 3 more Christmases. It gets kind of crazy when you're going somewhere every weekend and right around Christmas every single day to a Christmas party thing. Also, you get to eat a lot of good food, so that's nice, and get more presents, I guess. Not that I totally care, even though I just told most people to give me discs and stuff, so can't go wrong with that. So it gets kind of crazy probably right after the New Year's Day weekend, New Year's Eve, whatever, New Year's weekend, probably that next weekend, I'll start looking at tournaments. I don't know if there are some that weekend yet. Need to start looking at that, but that's probably when I'll be looking for tournaments to start playing again, for sure. Unless there is one this next Sunday that I could go to down in Savannah, but I don't know if I want to drive that far. Plus, that tournament was when I really got kicked in the face and realized that I wasn't as consistent as I thought I was. Anyway, so it would be nice to get my revenge on that course, but also if it kicks my butt again, then I'm really going to hate it and never want to go back there. So maybe I should save that until the Savannah Open, come back there, get my redemption this year, and know that I've made a big improvement since last year. Yeah, so, let's see. So just gonna be training till then. Do a bunch of putting in my basement. Get that dialed in. And I heard like the amateurs practice until they get something right, and then pros practice till they can't get it wrong. So I'm gonna be trying to aim my practice around that to where I can't get it wrong, even though there's always error in disc golf because you're human using your whole body to throw a disc. You're going to throw it a little off sometimes, but I want to be within as little margin of error as possible and really working with myself to get the errors as low as possible so that I can continue to be consistent. Consistency is the key. If you can do everything, it's not just about really being able to just be able to do the skill. It's about being able to do it consistently as often as possible, and keeping that up. So we're hitting close to an hour here. I'm wanting to still kind of keep like a random vlog thing start going, to where fun, cool things happen or funny things I can do, add those in, and try to start deliberately doing some more of those, adding those in, adding like funny moments that I can do in. But kind of as I naturally come up, do those and post those. So probably like maybe once a week or so. I don't know, this during the practice, when I'm playing tournaments, I should be able to do it once a week or so. But during practicing time, it's gonna be kind of boring during the week. I'd have to make a lot of the content happen when I'm trying to just focus on practice. So maybe a little bit less often than that. But try to get like some random vlogs in, and then try to do these podcasts pretty consistently. Talk about my disc golf stuff. I can do them at least once a week for sure, but I would like to be able to do them more than once a week, because I would like to be able to put out more content in that, and I feel like I can get more to say than just once a week. I can start coming up with different topics and talking about them, and I might even start adding in like non-disc golf stuff. Probably this one will just be disc golf, but in the future, some of my content, like I'm really into movies and TV shows, and so I'd love to be able to, I don't know, talk like Survivor is one of my big TV shows I started getting hooked on. Talk like Survivor Theory and like what's happening in the seasons I'm watching, and talk about people's plays and how good or bad they were, and who's playing Survivor the best and the worst, and make fun of them. So some of that would be really cool to talk about, and just add in other random things to chat about and see if people like them. If they don't, I gotta tune in. They can just tune in the disc golf stuff, or just not at all. But I don't know if I should do them separate vlog or separate streams, because this one will just be about disc golf. I don't know if I should add just like a TV show movie stream after this, and then go back to another disc golf one, or just kind of incorporate it all. Like, alright, here's disc golf time, talk about this. Here's TV movie time. Here's random, whatever Hunter's thoughts are at the time. I don't know. We'll see. If the next one's mainly going to be about TV shows, movies, stuff, and then probably after that, I'll probably incorporate them together and see how those go, see how each of the three do, and which one kind of fared the best of the three. Separate, mixed. And see what you guys like. But please feel free to tune in live. Turn on your notifications so you can join live next time. Ask me questions. I will answer pretty much all of them, especially at the start. If I happen to get hundreds of viewers, it's going to be harder to answer them all. But until that happens, I'll be answering everybody's comments consistently, and talking about your topics and whatever you want to ask me. So hope this is fun. I know I've seen a lot of other people do podcast type stuff and get their thoughts out there and just be able to talk, and I was like, oh, that'd be fun and cool to just be able to express my opinions and have a way to do that, and hopefully entertain some people and get some people to listen to what I gotta say, because maybe it's interesting. I guess we'll see what you people think. I feel like I got some interesting thoughts in my head, whether they're right or wrong or crazy enough to entertain people. So I'll be back with another one probably tomorrow, talking about TV shows and movies, and be able to share more of that with you guys. And then we'll do probably sometime soon after that a mixed stream. Thanks for watching, guys, and hopefully subscribe and come back next time.